What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to your daily dose of Man United news, your rumours, um, and your chance to calm down after yesterday's full view because it was literally insane. Like it was madness. Loads of comments flying in of yesterday's show. It was exactly what the full view should be about, which is
Exactly.
some,
Debate,
sometimes some sometimes
debate,
some outrageous
discussion,
takes.
anger,
Yeah.
rage.
But the first thing, well, it shouldn't have really been anger and like that was supposed to be a positive show. Like I literally titled the show "United Bounce Back." Like there was a thing about David De Gea's contract, and I just wanted to talk about genuinely well done. We bounced back in a difficult week, and all of a sudden, everyone just had different ideas.
You know what it
It just
felt like? It felt a little bit like whilst when some of the bad results are happening, you do try and not bottle it up, but you try not to get too out of control and too angry. And it felt like after a couple of wins, we just sort of let it all go. Just let it all out. Whatever was building up, it went out. And that's what we needed.
It was so weird. It really was so weird. But anyway, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Remember, you can join the United View Members Club. The link is in the video description below. Transfer choice. We're going to be talking about, I don't even want to say the FDJ bit, but there's a Frankie de Jong piece that's been done.
I thought, wait
And
a minute, to
Bellingham.
interrupt. I said FDJ a lot in the summer, and you said, don't say
Yeah, 'cause it's changed now.
FDJ.
It's changed now. That's
Don't you?
changed now. That's why. I'm saying FDJ out of I can't bear myself to even go back to
Double
that
standard,
thing.
Fleck. Double
Yeah.
standard.
No, just a different standard because we're in a different time. If this was still the transfer window and I still thought we'd get him like it was on that thing, I'd be saying yeah. But now I'm like, nah, I don't want to go back there. I'm scarred. Jude Bellingham, a choice between the two. We're going to be talking about a January exit for Donny van der Beek, Cody Gakpo, still wanting to move to a big club, turning down Leeds with the hope of going to bigger clubs. And also Casemiro settling down now as well. Owen, what have we got off the bat with this Frankie de Jong and Jude Bellingham story?
Wow, I tell you what, Flex. After covering the Frankie de Jong saga, and it was a saga for
It
how
was.
many months was it? 2 months,
Yeah.
3 months? I forget when it was. It started, ironically, when you were in Amsterdam. We have a bit of an epilogue, a little bit of an extra chapter. Just when you thought the book was closed, get that little bit at the end. The little bit at the end that says maybe it's not over just yet, because this comes from Miguel Delaney from The Independent, who writes that Manchester United have maintained contact with Barcelona over resurrecting the Frankie de Jong deal in the future. But, and there is a but here, they may have to make a decision over pursuing the Dutch midfielder or Jude Bellingham. Of course, the failed pursuit of de Jong ultimately led to the summer signing of Casemiro, but the club looked to continue to pursue
Whoops.
other options in order to reshape the team in the medium to long term. So basically, they're saying that the FDJ, I'm allowed to say FDJ, that deal and that pursuit is not over just yet, but next summer, it's going to be a case of one or the other. You can go for Frankie de Jong, or you can go for Jude Bellingham instead. If it was up to you, if you had to make that choice, what choice would you make?
I honestly, from before, we got to stay away from Frankie.
Barcelona.
Yeah, just to stay away. I'm done. Like, if I even wanted to entertain going back into this kind of thing, which I don't, at least that you could say the manager really wanted Frankie de Jong. But when I look at Bellingham, obviously, yeah, looks great, box to box, good on the ball. Looks like a real talent, super mega money. And on the other side of it, the Frankie de Jong thing, I do not want any negotiations with Barcelona and that whole thing again. I don't want us to be part of it. After I've completely and utterly learned my lesson from last season, and I think that we all should. I think the club should. I don't think we should listen to anything that president has to say, even the player. Although to be fair to Frankie de Jong actually maintained he was staying. To be fair to him, he didn't change his tune, did he? So we were the mugs in that. So for
Well,
me, I don't want any part of any of this. I don't want any of this smoke. I don't.
here's one
Find other
though.
alternatives.
Here's one. Which one's more realistic? Because you could argue that actually Frankie de Jong, and this is me playing devil's advocate. I'm like you.
Yeah.
As soon as I
Yeah.
saw this report, I went, I got shivers. I can't do the recreation of the shivers. Maybe I'll try.
Yeah.
That was my attempt. It was like that. And you go, "Oh, not again," like that woman. Do you remember that? "Oh, not another
Yeah.
one. Here
Oh,
we go
another
again.
one. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
another one." That's what it felt like. But could it be the more realistic option? Can United even get Jude Bellingham next summer?
No. Well, if
Something
no,
has to happen. Something has to happen
yeah,
between now and the end
something
of the season,
really, yeah,
positively from United to produce.
something has to happen. Liverpool need to not want to go for him because like it costs over 100 million. So they're just like, look, we just
Would he
can't
want
do the
to go
deal.
to Liverpool at this stage? Look at
Yeah,
them.
exactly. But then to spearhead a revival, Henderson coming to the end of it, Milner's going to be coming to the end of it. Fabinho's been out of form. Keita's going to be out. Like there's a spot there for like he fits there straight away right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the summer, it will be perfect for him and them, especially if Klopp's trying to rebuild. Yeah, but in terms of the money, that could be a big issue for Liverpool because they have spent big in the past, but that's usually through selling players and they've invested well. They don't tend to go and spend 130 million on players. Now, I know, again, Darwin Núñez, to be fair, looked like he's broken that mold. So they have proved they can get funds, but he's plus. Jude Bellingham is not going to be 100 million. It's going to be, they're saying 130 million. But yeah, I think he most suits there. Real Madrid, if they come knocking, look, they're always stacked. But if did Modric get a 1 year extension? Did he?
1 year extension. You could argue that he
No,
could go, Cruz could go, opens up the
exactly.
position, open ups the funds. Then you've got, your midfielder, you've got the likes of Camavinga, Chouamini, Bellingham. Boom. That's your midfield three for
And
your
then they're
next 10
sorted for the
years.
next 20
Yeah,
years.
literally. And it wouldn't shock you. It wouldn't shock you if, and this is my point when you talk about these stories of Manchester United are interested in Jude Bellingham. Well, of course they are. But is Jude Bellingham interested in Manchester United? I mean, he turned us down when we showed him around Carrington. And arguably, when that happened, what year was that? 2019?
I think it was
2018?
before the Haaland thing, yeah.
So, I mean, are
Yeah.
we in any better position from now than we were then in terms of what we've got to offer?
No, and that's the thing that where you're saying about what would need to change because we would need to have to become attractive to like some of the top players. And I know, we've gone and got Casemiro, we've gone and been appealing to Anthony, but his manager was already here. It's a step up for my Ajax. We've got some big players along the line, but I mean to get someone like Jude Bellingham who is really in the ascendancy and like you said, already made a good choice for his career by choosing not to come to us the first time and go to Dortmund. We'd have to probably have a really strong season, maybe pick up a trophy, finish comfortably in the top four, really show a style, really show something with Eric Ten Hag, which I'm not saying that we can't. I'm not saying that we can't, but I just feel like that'll be beyond us. And then we've got to then play with the fact that again, as Man United fans, we're looking at the surgery that the squad's if we're looking forward, we're looking at the surgery that the squad's going to need in the summer. We had a decent summer this year. January is always tough. I'm just gonna say it from now. We ain't getting anyone. I'm just gonna go with that
No, we're
blanket
not. We're
response, and
not.
then
I don't think so.
if we do, we do. But you know what happens in January. We all know what we need. But like you said, it'll probably be trimming the squad down, and we'll get to that in a little bit with Donny van der Beek. But we won't get anyone. So that when we get to the summer, it's going to be sorting out David De Gea. It's going to be right back settings because we would have had the whole season unless something happens in January. But I can't see that happening. It's going to be what Ronaldo will
A
probably
striker.
leave. So it's going to be definite striker settings. That's three. And yes, the fourth would be another midfielder as well. But being able to spend 130 million pounds on Jude Bellingham, I think is going to be a bit beyond us. I think because
Mm.
we're going to have other stuff to sort
And
as we did this
also,
summer.
and to bring Frankie de Jong back into it, who knows if that pursuit of Bellingham is going to be a summer-long thing? We've seen what happens if
Oh,
United get
it'd be
involved
typical Man United.
in a saga. But let's be honest, either option's a saga. To be honest, yeah,
Yeah,
either option's a saga
yeah,
because, and we're talking about something positive would have to happen for us to be able to go after Jude Bellingham or for him to want to come to us. But on the same point, something positive would have to happen for Frankie de Jong to change his mind. Like he would have to look at United and go, well, they've turned into a viable option, or his situation at Barcelona would have to get exponentially worse than it is right now. So and looks like Barcelona, whilst they're somewhat struggling in the Champions League this season, in the league they're certainly going to compete. And I don't see Frankie de Jong's situation changing at all. To be
No, it's
honest,
like
he's still got
for the worse. Yeah.
no, exactly,
Yeah, just
or
can't. Yeah.
to get any worse off than he was last summer, where they were actively
No.
trying to shove him out the door. I don't even think that would happen, to be honest, this time round next season. I don't know what their financial situation would look like. I don't know if it would be as dire as it was at one point last summer. And even with it being as dire as it was at one point last summer, they still managed to sign everyone and register everyone, so it didn't matter anyway. So I don't. And then with success this season, if they get it, you would think some financial issues might be a little bit unburdened. So either option seems quite far fetched, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
none of them are happening. None of them are
that's on
happening.
United. That's just on where United are right now. Obviously, sometimes you can't lower your standards, and you do have to aim high with certain targets. But at the same time, you have to balance that out with being realistic. Going, can we attract those players, and how do we attract those players? If we're attracting those players via we're throwing a ton of money at them, and I don't even think at this stage in his career Jude Bellingham would be motivated by money. Of course he'd get a good deal, but at the same time, with that many clubs going after you, you can pick the best club and the place you're going to win the most trophies in your mind's eye, whether that is Real Madrid. Again, that's why I even question Liverpool somewhat. I would say, wow, actually, you know, what are Liverpool going to be doing? Because you're then almost edging your bets a little bit there, because you have to say they're clearly going to begin a rebuild. What is that
Yeah.
rebuild going to look like? How many years
Yeah,
is
it'd be a
that going to
risk.
take? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it'd definitely be a risk. I mean, he could put his hat on the fact that Klopp's got a track record of being able to win. Um, but it is an unknown entity for Klopp that he's going to enter into, depending on how they come out of this season and if they can turn it around already, because obviously they've been awful.
Mm.
But that summer coming up for Liverpool is going to be huge, especially if they don't make the top four or something bad happens where they couldn't turn it around. If they don't make the top four, they can't get Jude Bellingham.
No,
They can't. They can't.
no.
That's the first thing. So they wouldn't even be in this convo if they don't get for the top four. But even if they do scrape the top four, but miles off, where they want it to be, like I said, it's still thinking caps on, because they've got to go through transition. Other teams in this country, I mean, look, Bernardo Silva's always like just about to go, isn't he? Like there's always nearly. I mean, if Bernardo Silva left Man City, could Jude Bellingham go there? Join Haaland?
Erling Haaland
Jesus.
influence. Yeah, could
I
you
mean,
imagine?
exactly. Chelsea, they've been trying to refresh their midfield. They were trying to get De Jong as well. Didn't quite work.
Oh,
Kept Gallagher probably for that reason. They've got a few
Chelsea got
options in there, but
money to burn, haven't they? It wouldn't shock you for them to just be like,
they're
yeah,
ready to burn through some
100,
serious cash.
yeah, 150 burn through some serious dollars. Tonnes.
They will pay it. Yeah.
What did KG say the other day? Burley.
Todd Bowley.
Todd Bowley.
He loves it. Any excuse to say it, because Fabrizio says it like that, isn't it? KG's so childish. Yeah, and their midfield, Kante on his way out, Jorginho bit stale now. Kovacic's been there a while. They could do with that boost of refresh as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So I wouldn't rule out Chelsea as well if they have a strong season under Graham Potter. So there's not going to be any short of offers.
no.
He's not going to be short of offers, is he, Jude Bellingham? And I think Man United will look attentively sort of over
If
there.
we could,
Okay.
and if we managed to pull that off, just how big would that be?
Oh yeah, it'd be huge. It'd be huge. It would, because I posed this last time that if I think we spoke about it, that right now, if Jude Bellingham was available on our bench or in our squad, he was available.
Mm.
Does he start right now, and who for? You got Ericsson, you got Casemiro, you got Bruno. Obviously, we've got Fred McTominay as well, but I'm just saying about who the kind of better players are. Does he walk straight in, and who for?
Well, he would get in the side. It's just a case of who does he get in for? What system? Because you don't buy Jude Bellingham to put on the bench. You just you don't.
So you reckon in the summer something would have to give? Like one of them's got to leave.
Not necessarily have to leave.
No, one of the
But,
five. Like out of McTominay, Fred.
oh
like
yeah,
all of them.
but Fred's got a year left anyway, I think, hasn't he?
So maybe like Fred would leave. That free
that
up
might
the
be the
space.
one. That might be the one. It's just trying to think what kind of player Jude Bellingham is.
Well, Theo Hines says over Bruno any day of the week. Show Rahman says we should stop talking about Bruno like he's undroppable. Tank says Jude is an 8. All elites, all the members are having their say. It says Bruno. Kristen says, well, we'll buy Jude and put him on the bench. He plays next to Casemiro with Ericsson at number 10.
It's a good point that people are saying there when they're saying Ericsson, Bellingham, Casemiro, because and this is actually probably a fault on my part. I was thinking, yeah, but Bellingham's not a 10. But he doesn't have to play as a 10. You can have a midfield three that's 2 8s And Casemiro
Absolutely.
as a ball winner, you can have
Well,
that,
they're
or you can
saying he
have
can play next to Casemiro
you
and put
can have
Bruno and put
Casemiro as the ball
Eriksen
winner,
in the 10.
and then or you can have Eriksen as a little bit of a deeper six, a bit deep line playmaker.
What is
Who's to say?
so what is everyone
Who's,
saying that Eriksen just still would definitely start if my man comes,
who's to
Bellingham
say?
comes?
Who's to say you need a 10 behind the striker? Why can't you just do a 4-3-3 with three that are a little bit
Yeah.
deeper, and then have your wingers and have your striker? Why couldn't you do that? Why
Yeah,
couldn't you
that
have
seems to have
Eriksen,
gone now. Everyone
Casemiro?
always assumes that it has to be a 10, and it
Yeah, so
doesn't.
it's like
Like,
4-3-3, but it's actually a 4-2-3-1. Why can't you just
yeah,
have a traditional 4-3-3 where it's just like the three are actually quite tight in the middle,
yeah.
like that?
Sometimes you just get a flat free. Just a
Yeah,
flat free. We attack all together, we defend all together, just old school.
yeah.
It's funny though, in the chat, everyone's pretty much saying it'll be Bruno. Um, Easily. No one's dropping Casemiro. Since I've seen the chat, no one's dropping Ericsson. I'm guessing it would be the same if Dion came, would it?
Well, I say Josh should put a poll in the chat. Who would you rather sign, De Jong or Jude Bellingham?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the choice.
True.
That's the choice we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think, look, if you were to say that they both wanted to come and you could both do the deal, I would go with Jude Bellingham. What would be quite interesting though, Flex, is what would Eric Ten Hag do? Because
Oh, that's a good question.
One guy's Jude Bellingham, but the other
Yeah.
guy is his guy.
Well, if they were both available, I think Ten Hag goes for what he knows. I think he goes for Dion.
I
Obviously,
think he would as
we're
well.
yeah, because we're doing. You got to remember, we're emotionally scarred. We've seen what happened. Like, we don't want any part of that Dion shit ever again.
Mm,
Never ever again. And we're coming away from how good he is as a player, because we were all waxing lyrical about why we needed him. Like, he's an amazing player. Obviously, this is before we got Casemiro, but Frankie De Jong is an amazing player. He's unbelievable. But we just don't want to enter into that because we know what happened last time. But if Eric Ten Hag was posed with the actual real question of, right, okay, now forget last year, it is actually on. Like, you can get him. We can put a bid in for him or him. Well, we put a bid in last year for De Jong. But I think he would still prefer De Jong. But sometimes the squad can show him a lot. With what Casemiro is going to bring to us this year and the balance and what Eriksen has been for us and probably will continue to be all year, he might say, well, you know what, actually, Jude Bellingham, that could work. So it's about just looking at the time. But I just feel no matter what happens, we ain't getting both. Sorry to be a pipe.
no.
Daniel Luciano with a super chat says Bellingham and the base of Eriksen and Bruno, choice of form. So Bellingham and the base of Eriksen and Bruno on the form. So he played both then. So he's playing Bellingham at the base, like a holding midfielder.
Well, it is quite interesting, and obviously the poll's just been put in the chat,
Yeah,
so we're still early days, but it's quite close.
it is very close.
It's quite
It is
close.
very close. Jude Bellingham just about edging it very, very early on. Yeah, so we'll keep that poll going. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, you can join the members club. There's been quite a few members there having their say. They've got their priority chat. They're highlighted in the chat, so their comments get read out. They have got their badges, their emojis as well.
Oh, with
That
the
everyone can
emojis,
get.
by the way, as well.
Yeah,
Someone put in last night during the full view, and it's a good idea. We need to get red and yellow card emojis. So if
yeah,
there is some
yeah,
questionable takes, you go, tell you what, that's a booking. That is a
100%.
booking. Or the
That's a
community
really
can
good
say,
idea.
no, we don't really implement the sin bin anymore, but the community can say that's a red card offense. That's a red card
Yeah,
take that.
like they just need to be put on mute, which is even more funny because they're still in the shot. They just can't
Exactly.
speak.
It's a red card take. They'll go, that's a red card take. Or I just like the idea of that's a booking. That's a warning.
Yeah,
That's a
like we're on
warning.
to you. We're on to you. Like, if you say
Be
one more
careful.
thing like that,
That's a
one more
caution.
thing.
That is a caution.
Yeah, big up to the community, but we'd have to trust the community to use it sparingly and not just spam the comments with the cards. So,
That's
but I
why
do
they're the
trust the
members.
community.
That's we put the faith in the members. I've got faith in the
Yeah,
UVMCs.
100%. Moving on. We've got is it Cody Hakpo? Sorry,
Donny.
Donny van der Beek. Sorry, Donny van der Beek.
Donny van de Beek,
Is
yeah.
there a January move on the cards?
This comes from Ekram Kona, and it must be said this isn't the first time we've heard about a possible departure for Donny van der Beek in January. But he is saying that Leicester City are hoping to bring in Manchester United's Donny van der Beek for around 15 million euros. Obviously, this move would be taking place in January. As I mentioned, it's not the first report or rumor that has been speculated that Ten Hag may have deemed Donny surplus to requirements at United. Obviously, look, Leicester in a bit of a relegation scrap as well. That's a difficult that's a
Fucking
difficult move for Donny.
be like him going back to Everton.
Exactly, exactly. But to be honest, I mean, we spoke about possibly trimming the squad in January, and that's really going to be the transfer activity that we see. I do think Donny would be part of it. I mean, again,
Mm.
it's somewhat ironic, isn't it, that his departure from Manchester United will be sealed by the person that we expected to actually make his career at the club flourish. Um, and if he does go in January, how would you describe his tenure at United?
Oh, awful. Absolutely awful. One of the biggest one of the worst transfers we've had. It's up there as like with anticipation of how good the player is versus what came out. And you can say whether it's his fault or injuries or unlucky or Man United, wrong time, one play. There's loads of factors, not always fault. But then to get your manager, to get Eric Ten Hag and still no change. Um, yes, he's been injured at the moment. I get that. But even on pre-season, you could see how he was being used and what Ten Hag was thinking. That was a fresh start. That was, the same way how Ten Hag came in and went, right, I need to get Rafa Varane going, put him on a plan so he was ready for the beginning of the season. Like, he was ready after the first couple of games. Got Rashford firing straight away, Martial at number 9. Things that we hadn't seen before where he was starting to do with players that he clearly thought he could do it with. And Donny wasn't one of them.
Yeah,
Donny
well,
wasn't one of them,
literally,
and it would go down as a really, really bad exit for Man United. And you know what? To ask me how I would feel if he left, I would say good because he needs it. Like right now, he doesn't. He does. He's never been further away from getting a game. Add the injury on to not being favoured. He's just so far behind now, so
mm,
far, and these games are coming so quick. Donny van der Beek has got to get himself fit, so he's even on the bench first during all these busy games.
yeah.
He's never going to play in the Premier League. He is not going to kick a ball in the Premier League up into the World Cup. He will not. Even if he's on the bench, I guarantee he won't come on because now McTominay is going to be second fiddle to Casemiro. Fred's not even getting a kick. And when we swap it round in Europa League, it's going to be like McTominay. It's going to be Fred. It might be one of Bruno and or Ericsson because swapping in and out. I just don't see it. Maybe like a light insult to injury minutes or something like that. But other than that, I think it's been a really horrible time. And actually, it's probably best for him. It's getting to that stage now where you just probably just wants to draw a line under it and go and play some football, man.
I think also as well, you bring up a really good point about bringing players out of the cold and all this kind of stuff. Because if you look at the situation with Anthony Martial, that was another player that was in a similar position to Donny, right? Out on loan,
Worse,
out on loan last
worse.
season, 1 foot out the club. He's done. He's going to leave in the summer. This, that, and the
Been here
other.
for ages,
Eric,
unreliable. Yeah,
exactly. Eric Ten Hag looked at him and said, even though, because you could say, well, there's people ahead of him, there's Bruno ahead of him. No, there was Cristiano Ronaldo ahead of Anthony Martial as well. Even though there were people ahead of him, Eric Ten Hag said, no, you're going to be my guy. You're going to be the player I want to play. And he picked him and he played him through preseason. Obviously, it's not worked out in terms of injuries and fitness for Anthony Martial. That's clear. It's clear, eh? But when it comes to Donny, he still picked people ahead of him. He still picked Bruno ahead of him. He still picked McTominay and Fred ahead of
Ericsson
him. He
ahead of
brought in
him.
Ericsson. So you could almost
Casemiro,
argue that
everyone.
it was never clearly it was never Ten Hag's real intention to really get Donny into the side or play Donny in or anything like that. And I just
No.
keep saying he's come to the same conclusion that 2 other people have when it comes to Ollie, Ralph Rangnick, now Eric Ten Hag. He's not up to it for whatever reason in the Premier League. And I know you can say run of games, he hasn't got a chance, whatever. But we have seen players that maybe in the past have had a chance, but we've seen with this manager at the moment, if you get your opportunity and you play well or you make an impact, you will stay in the side. And granted, there hasn't really been that opportunity for that to happen. He has been unfortunate with injuries, but as I keep saying, when you come on, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you've got to try and do something. Try and do something to affect the game. Like good movement off the ball sometimes just isn't going to cut it. And
Yeah,
I think,
true.
that's the story of his career. Like, there's no doubt he's a good player. Of course, he's a good player. What he did at Ajax doesn't clearly shows he's a good player and he's got good qualities. Whether it's a physicality thing, whether it's a personality thing, I don't know. But unfortunately, it's just not worked out. And it's talk about the road not taken, because at one point prior to coming to United, he was going to go to Real Madrid, and that fell apart because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So imagine what his career could
And
have
he's
looked
found
like.
himself at Everton and then found himself maybe at Leicester. It's like, and that's no disrespect to those two teams. It's more of just a realization of, like I said, a recognition of where he was going versus to where he's gone. And it is a basic thing of like just falling down the pecking order. I mean, you look at other players. So look at Fred. He is literally falling way down the pecking order to the point where McTominay's now ahead of him and Casemiro's ahead of him. Yeah, obviously he'll come on in games here or there and stuff like that, start Europa League, but Fred was a shoo-in all the time. And actually, in a horrible season, remember last year we were saying he did okay. He did okay last season in a disgustingly poor season. And he's way down. I look at Anthony Elanga now, not getting any minutes off the bench. You look at the hierarchy now of when everyone was fit. I know Martial is now not fit again, but when everyone was fit, it's like, when's Anthony Elanga going to get some minutes? Because first off the bench is going to be Sancho, or first off the bench is going to be Ronaldo, and Anthony's just locking it down on the right hand side. There's not really even a space for anyone right now. He's 3-3, playing pretty much 90 minutes every game, starting pretty much every game, every competition. And I'm not saying that will go on from now until the thing, because obviously even against Ammonia, he might give Anthony a rest and start Elanga. But again, what my point is that it's very easy to fall down the pecking order. Look at Wan-Bissaka. I know there's only two of them, but gone, out, finished, and then he had the injury into that. So yeah, I just think with Donny, it's there is a point, Owen, you're right. And people don't like to hear this because we've all backed him and we've all tried to give him as much as possible. But when managers aren't picking you consistently, 3 different managers, whether Man United were good or rubbish, it's even worse if we're rubbish because you still can't get a try. You have to look at the player and say, well, in training, what's going on? In training, what's going on? And then if your guy who's Eric Ten Hag, who was really a big part of your development, who actually sold you to Manchester United, is not coming in and trying to make you kick on, and you're not kicking on, and we're still not seeing anything, then you've got to look at the player.
We've seen how Ten Hag treats his guys. He plays them non-stop. Anthony, Martinez, whoever it may be. If you're his guy, you play. That's it. And Donny would appear to be his guy, but he's not playing him. And there's a reason why. Maybe, and maybe it is like a confidence thing. Maybe Ten Hag showed up and looked at Donny and went, I tell you, that's not the Donny that I remember. And maybe he thinks that he can't get that out of him. I don't know. I want Donny to go elsewhere, and I hope he's successful. Send him back to Ajax. We owe them one.
Yeah, he'll be brilliant. Yeah, they would love that.
We owe them one. Let's keep that sweet. So maybe that we can go back to them a bit later on. You know what I mean?
I want to pick up a little light Timber, do you, or light Alvarez, or
you never know. You never know. Let's just keep that relationship. Again, we owe them, and they take that. So because I was even thinking from a Leicester point of view. Not say, he'd be terrible for Leicester, but Leicester, they're struggling. I know they beat Forest last week or whatever, but they didn't get a win again at the weekend. They're in a relegation fight. Make no mistake about it. They're in a relegation fight. They're struggling. And you could argue, like, Donny going into a relegation fight, is that the personality maybe you want in terms of that? And he could play under Brendan Rodgers. He's a Brendan Rodgers style player. How long is Brendan Rodgers going to be at Leicester for? There's loads of questions surrounding that. Ultimately, what he needs is just game time, because it's just.
Well, also, if he went there and Tillemans is still there, Maddison's still there, Dewsbury Hall's still there, Ndidi's still there, I'll tell you what, mate. Like, Leicester are in an awful position, but if Leicester hit form with like the Leicester that we know that they can be, which they're so far off, but if Leicester started doing some bits, and Maddison's still been doing bits, even though Leicester have been awful. Tillemans is always capable, although his probably head is veered and he's probably just waiting to leave.
I was going to say, do you think it's
just
preemptive?
saying,
Do you think it's preemptive?
Yeah, I think it's exactly. It's got to be that, because if you look at the squad on paper, Dewsbury Hall, Ndidi, Tillemans, and Maddison as central midfielders. Where's Donny fit into that if they're all playing really well?
I was going to say, because if we're saying Donny's a 10, well, he's not going to play a 10 for Leicester, because you've got like people like Maddison's
better than him there.
Yeah, Maddison's better than in a 10. Like Maddison, if Maddison came to United tomorrow, you'd be like, I'll tell you what, Bruno, look over your shoulder a little bit.
Exactly.
You
would.
A
lot of people would say play him.
Yeah, exactly. So then you're talking about Donny playing as an 8, and you've got these managers, Ollie, Ralph, And now Ten Hag going, actually, he's probably better as a 10. Like you have the same dilemma over again. You go to a club where there is a 10 ahead of you. So
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
even the right move for him? you know?
Exactly. Lionel, big up Lionel. He is a latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, bro. Really appreciate you joining. Get to work. You got your emojis, you got your badge, bro. You got your priority content, your early content, exclusive content, your UV Raw. Daniel Luciano says, sorry, I meant Bellingham, Casemiro, and then Bruno or Ericsson based on form. Okay, I get what you mean now, Daniel Luciano. That probably makes more sense. And Shane, big up Shane. Shane says, sorry, lads. Good work. Been trying to send this. But Bellingham is Sancho-esque with more pace, explosive ability. We need Gakpo in January as well. And just to let you guys know, so thank you for that, Shane. We'll talk about that. And the poll, which I think we can pretty much end now, 55% said if you had the choice, they would rather sign Jude Bellingham over the 45%
It's
for
close.
Frenkie de Jong. So it is really, really close there. Interesting vibes.
Mm.
Remember, you can join the UV Members Club if you would like to. Links in the video description below. The voting is now closed for the FCAs. So anyone who did vote, thank you. It's all in the hands of the gods now. Well, the judges, really, just to count the votes, not gods. But you know what I'm saying.
Not lead judges. It's not in lead.
Yeah, no,
Not, not,
yeah,
not, not lead
not lead
judges.
judges, no, because otherwise he'll make himself win in that
He
category.
win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the hand of the
Um,
judges. It's just him there with a load of envelopes. Got it.
old hospitality judges. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Owen, what we got next?
I'll tell you what we've got next. But first, we've got nearly 800 people watching, 161 likes. It's a disgrace. It's a cheat.
So that's really what we have is disgrace and cheats.
Yeah, exactly. It's a disgrace. No, we've got to talk about Cody Gakpo because it's been reported by Florian Plettenberg that Cody Gakpo would like to move to a bigger club than Leeds United, like Manchester United, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Bayern Munich. A move in January is not excluded. Now, where this kind of comes from, of course, is that after his move to United fizzled out, and that was because obviously we spent so much money purchasing Anthony, and the Gakpo deal then got off the table. He agreed terms, I believe, with Leeds United. Like that deal looked like it was going to happen, and then at the end, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Leeds, I think they said that they've agreed personal terms with him, but the expectation is he thinks I should probably move elsewhere. I can get a bigger
Probably
club
should as well.
essentially.
If
And
he
in
goes
fairness to him,
Leeds, if he
that's what I was
wants to
just about to
go on an
say.
upward
Like
trajectory, yeah, it's a bit
if you look
underwhelming.
at some of the people that are interested in him, and it's no disrespect to Leeds, not that you care, but no disrespect
I
to
was gonna say,
Leeds.
mate, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
but
Yeah, it
but
is.
you know he can get a bigger move. I think he started the season pretty well in the Eredivisie as well, and from his perspective, you would feel a little bit like I was this close to coming to United in the summer, and I'd be going to
Yeah,
Leeds now. Like, come on, you can do
yeah,
better than that.
exactly. Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be. Look, I don't think we're going to get anyone in January, so that is what we have kind of covered. But it is interesting to hear this story that Gakpo fancies himself at higher than Leeds. I agree. He's levels higher than that. It looks. I haven't seen him game out, game in, game out, and really, invested loads of time into him. I just kept more of an eye on him. Obviously, throughout the summer and Nations League and a few times this season. I know he started really, really well. Got double figures. He's up there. In terms of goals and assists and goal contributions, he's up there with Haaland. I was seeing a stat.
I saw was it in the Europa League where he scored an unbelievable goal? Was it
Yeah, he
last
scored
week?
a couple. He scored a couple in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's been really sharp. And I look at it and think, what would he look like on our left hand side, or if we had him and Rashford as available? That's when you're really starting to, you know, to get some proper depth. Jadon Sancho, he's
Does he
he's
play off the
sparking a lot
left-hand
of
side?
exactly sparking a lot of debate at the moment. Jadon Sancho, he can play off the left hand side, of course he can. Can play
But I
off the
mean,
right hand side as
if he
well.
came in for United, where do you think he would play if he came in for United, say in January?
Gakpo,
Yeah.
um, depends what happens with Ronaldo as well.
Mm.
If Ronaldo found a move, I don't think that Ten Hag would be too scared to play him up front. You know, false nine vibes or just like
He could be more
fluid,
akin to
fluid.
an Anthony Martial, that more sort of fluid player,
Yeah, but I
hold the
don't
ball
know.
up a
I'll
little
be honest.
bit. But
I don't know what his link up play is actually like though in the central
that
area.
is
I
true.
can't judge that. I
That is
know
true.
what Martial's is like. He's very good at that, getting on the half turn, dropping into pockets, then spinning. and he also can run in behind. From what I've seen of Cody Gakpo, has been very direct. I mean, I've only seen him come off the left, and he looks like what we wanted Rashford to be when Rashford weren't doing it last season, but now Rashford's
Yeah.
starting to do it. I think he would be most similar to Rashford if he came. People who watch him more than us would say whether he'd be better than Rashford doing that. I don't know. I'm not going to jump on the thing of saying he'd be better than Rashford. I ain't seen the kid enough. I don't know, but I know that Eric Ten Hag would trust him, and he looks very athletic. He looks direct. He looks quick. He looks strong. Quite an awkward body, like really long and lanky, like long limbs and quite powerful runner. So yeah, I think he's definitely got ability, but I don't know. I'm just not sure what would happen. It depends on what happens with Ronaldo.
Could you argue that if he did come in, it's him and Rashford on the left-hand side? Sancho, then it's like, actually, mate, you're not on the left-hand side anymore. You're competing with Anthony for that right-hand spot, which is what you actually came in for at Manchester United, even though he's better coming off the left-hand side. But you say, look, this is what you're purchased for. It's Sancho and Anthony on the right-hand side. It's Rashford and Gakpo on the left-hand side. Martial and Ronaldo up front. Then probably in the summer, we go to look for another striker because Ronaldo will probably leave. And then that's your attacking options. Would you say that's a more balanced United attacking lineup? But to tick that off, we're not going to buy anyone in January anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, we're not. But like, let's say we want to fast forward to the end goal, the end game, the end product, right? I would want it to look something like that. In each position, you've got equal players of quality that can easily switch in and out, and there isn't that drop off. If Sancho can get his act together, we know, again, you don't want to keep saying the same thing, that there's a player in there, needs to be unlocked, the system, this, that, and the other. He has got to take accountability for it himself, the intensity of which he's playing out, because there has been some good glimpses. We were saying, actually, he's off the mark. He's got a few goals this year. He's doing okay. And the types of goals that he scored were literally how the team needs to play for him to be able to do well. It isn't going to work with just giving him the ball. He's getting doubled up on and saying, go do something. He has to be, playing with players and linking up with players. And he will still play a part this season. Form this season is going to just keep changing. Someone's going to be in a nice little hot streak. They're going to play. Then they're going to struggle. They're going to come out. It's happened with Malacia and Sancho already.
Yeah, but to that point, I see in the chat, Liam Miller, who is a member of the UB Members Club, big up, says, Gakpo as backup, WTF, laughter emoji. And I think we have to get away from that. We have to get away from, they're coming in to play back or second fiddle to whoever. Like, if you're going to be successful, you need, like, depth in multiple positions. And that's not to say that either player is a backup. The person who plays is the person who's playing well. To your point just then, who's the backup between Malacia and Luke Shaw right now? You couldn't say. At the moment, I guess it's Malacia because Luke Shaw's playing because he's playing well. A couple of weeks ago, Shaw was the backup to Malacia. That's why you have competition for places. There are so many times when we talk about
Casemiro was the backup to McTominay.
But it's true. But then we get so focused on, he's not going to want to come and sit on the bench. They're more than happy to do it at Manchester City. One, because they win stuff, but two, because they think, I tell you what, when I get my opportunity, I'm staying in this team.
Yeah, and I've got to step
up. That's the culture. Ten Hag keeps saying, it's been reported, he wants to install that competitive culture. You don't get a competitive culture without having people like biting at your heels, going, if you slip up one moment, I'm in, and then you're going to be out. You need that.
We've seen it. He's done it already.
You need proper competition for places, not of like, in the same way like a right back, when Wan-Bissaka definitely is the backup to Dalot. Dalot's not worried about his spot because it's his. He knows
even if he has a bad game, like he doesn't think that Wan-Bissaka will come in and
even Rashford's playing well at the moment, but he knows as soon as I have a bad game, Sancho will probably come in. Let's be honest. Anthony's been signed, but that's why I'm saying even on the right hand side, you're saying actually you do need someone that's going to be nipping at his heels a little bit. So if he does drop off, he comes in. Like, it's not being viewed as like, I don't view it certainly as backup. I view it as, no, it's someone to have competition. It's got to be competitive. And as to your point, we've already seen it. Literally, Eric Ten Hag ripped out the left-hand side and just replaced it in the last couple of games.
Literally, at half-time against Ammonia, he went, that whole left-hand side, get off.
Rubbish.
I'm putting a new left-hand side on.
Literally. Like it was a new door of a car. He just went, nope, that's rubbish. Put that one in. Done.
100%. And that's why, again, with the 5 subs as well, managers can do that sort of shit. Just make 2 subs at half-time. Boom. Easy. Do you know what I mean? Or even 3 subs at half-time and keep 2 for the second half. They're not afraid to do it. And I think you're right. We've got to be looking at having that strength and depth and not get behind like, oh, we can't buy him and he doesn't automatically start. Anthony, don't get me wrong, we spent 80 million on him, yeah, and there was less of a situation where there was an answer to the right hand side. So it was more like he's got to start. He's spent so much money on him. We've got him near the end of the window. He was, he was Ten Hag's guy. But even then, if he wasn't playing good and he really wasn't performing, Jadon Sancho will be back out there.
Well, that's my point.
Elanga will get another try. Like he will.
That's my point. Where I would want someone like Cody Gakpo, because again, you force then Sancho out to the right hand side. Then it's like, well, I tell you what, Anthony, if you don't play well, Sancho's in. If Rashford
Yeah.
don't play well, Cody Gakpo's in, and they'll keep their spot, and then you're stuck because this is a manager that does reward if you play well. He doesn't care about your name. He cares if we win, or he cares if you play well and you score goals or you do your job. Like that is just it.
100%, and rightly so. That's what we've needed for an awfully long time. And like I said yesterday on the full view, it got kind of lost in all the in all the craziness on the full view last night. But like I said, I was feeling really positive. I still am. I'm really enjoying learning about Ten Hag. And that's not just because obviously we're in the presses and you get to see him up close and really get a feel for him. That's one side of it. But even away from that, of what we can all see in front of the cameras and team selection and stuff like that, I'm just really enjoying like seeing how he deals with these situations and learning how he operates and actually realizing that there is a level of consistency to what he does. And when I think back to that first interview, his first sit down one, when we was all obviously eyes glued to the screen in that cream suit, the first sit down he done with the in-house media team, when he was just talking about how he wants to do things. It's a culture. We have to buy in. Everyone has to give 100%. We have to be on the same page. All these things that he's just literally reiterated from then all the way through to now. He's already showing us that it's not lip service. That doesn't mean we're going to win every game. That doesn't mean we're back. It doesn't mean them things, but it means that that they say the buck stops and starts at the manager, and already we've got some accountability there where a manager's going to do things in a proper way, in a ruthless way. There was some quotes from McTominay sort of saying, he was asking me about my family, and that's a real big part of it. He's treating me like a human being and investing into me, and that made me want to play for him and be part of this. And I dare say he's doing that to all the players to keep them on song, because whenever he's made changes, whoever it is who's come in has upped the level.
No, absolutely, and I think
so it's good to see.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I do feel, I do feel positive, and I look back to. And those first two games of the season, whilst they were so disappointing, and in retrospect, they were very important because he learned a lot and he changed things. And they were a bit of a crossroads for him. And he tweaked his tactics and his system, or said, actually, maybe we need to change things a little bit while I try and implement how I want to play going forward a little bit. If you do take those out of it, let's say the season started at the Liverpool game. Like, okay, you lost to City at the Etihad, and it was really disappointing how he performed that day, but that can happen. Otherwise, you go, well, it's not bad.
What was it? Was it the 13 out of how many points? 15 was it, or 6? What was that stat?
Since that game?
18. I think it's 15 points out of 18 or something like that.
I mean, we played. How many games we played in the Premier League? We played 8 games. We've lost 3, so we're on 15 points. Yeah, we're 15 points, 5th in the table. Again, not that you can take their first 2 games out of the season, but they feel like a lifetime ago already, don't they?
They do. They do.
But they were learning points. But then you do sort of look at that, and the result against City, that still can and probably will happen at least once or twice again this season. Like those really bad results are going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you take a step back and you look overall, you go, well, it's better. Certainly towards the end of last season, it's better than where we were. You know what I mean? 6 months ago.
It's definitely. And look again, because you have to say it in context. Doesn't mean we're back. Doesn't mean we're going to win a trophy. Doesn't mean we'll definitely get top 4. But I 100% agree with you that in these, how many games have we played all season? How many played in the league? 8.
I think it's 8. Yeah.
Right, and then 3 in the Europa. So what's that? 13. Yeah. Sorry.
11.
11. Sorry. Yeah. If we look at it and see where the squad is now, and how they're playing, like, and some of the types of goals we're scoring. Because we're still emotionally involved, we're always emotionally involved in just trying to get the W. When you actually look at the types of goals we're doing, like you can see Ten Hag balls. You can see it. You can see the patience. You can see the rotations. You can see how we're defending. You can see the organization. You know, the compactness when we're defending, the aggression when we're defending. Have we kept it up for 90 minutes in every single game? No, we haven't. But I think it's starting to grow more and more with that. Remember, I'm saying like this year, even if he doesn't get top four, I know it's changed a little bit now because we can see what's happening in the league and there's a gap there. So we've got to go for it. Absolutely, we've got to go for it. But I still stand by what I said before we'd even kicked the ball, which is that I just want to see us develop a team and a culture and an identity. And I think that's starting to appear. It's not there yet because we're still doing some mad stuff. We're still conceding some silly goals. And we've lost badly when we have lost. But I think something is building, and I think you can see that. Definitely.
I agree.
Love that. Love that. Also, smash a like on the video. What are we at now? We're at 216, nearly 900 watching. We can do a little bit better, guys. We can do a little bit better. So please do that. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel if you're new, and you can join the UV Members Club as well. Like who has? Like Lionel has already this morning. And Dill says, nice, good super chat here, says, but guys, did we not say once the team is stabilized, it's easier to blood in the youngsters? So why are we not talking more? Why are we talking about more wingers if we have Garnacho? And somebody else said that's a good point. You know, the team's going to be more settled. We've got more of a structure. We've got more of a system. Could we not start looking to the likes of a Garnacho to say, look, we don't need a Cody Gakpo for 40 million in January, 50 million. Let's start bringing him in. Let's start doing that.
Possibly, but what I think Gakpo provides immediate competition, and you would still argue that Garnacho still does feel a little way off.
So how do we get him there then? How do we not? Don't we have to just keep giving him a chance?
I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's a loan for Garnacho, because the only thing I do worry about is just the sort of physicality of the Premier League, because he still is quite slight, isn't he?
Yeah.
And also as well, we have stabilized the team somewhat, but we're far from a stable team at this point. You still feel like, don't you, if you started Garnacho at the moment, you'd go, that's quite soon. Like still.
But then if you started him against Monia at home, you know,
that would be the game. Those kind of games.
Like, you know what? That would get everyone. That'd be beautiful to see. Or if we take care of Ammonia, and then obviously the next game is Sharif, then we pretty much guaranteed qualification at least. And then we got to, like we said, we're gonna have to win every game and then go to Sociedad and beat them because they're not gonna drop. They're not gonna lose to win the group. We're gonna have to.
And we don't want to play someone dropping down from the Champions League as well, because if we come
exactly straight away, you're gonna have an Ajax or whoever. It could be a Barca or whoever. But I think that there could be space for Garnacho to play. But I hear what you're saying there. It's more ready-made right now in Cody Gakpo. But, you know, you look at what Anthony Elanga did, of how he came in as a youngster the season before. I remember him scoring the back end of the season before against Wolves. Ollie was starting to play him in a couple of games. Then last season he got his breakthrough, but I think it was easy for him to get his breakthrough because Man United was so bad, so bad. Marcus Rashford was so poor, and it couldn't get any worse. And you know, in a weird way, we say don't bring youngsters in under those sorts of environments, but I think we was able to do that last year in one of them in Anthony Elanga. And now he's actually a first team player.
You could argue that he was playing okay in a really poor side, but now that everyone's sort of upped their quality levels or upped their levels to the point we expect them to be, now he falls behind a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's really gone down the pecking order. Exactly that. He's going to have to work hard and just keep positive and just try and seize another opportunity if and when he can. And Liberty has joined the UV Members Club as well. Big up to Liberty. Thank you. Appreciate that. We've got the Flex and KG show coming this evening, 6 p.m. Loads of content coming at you guys as well. Lead up to the next Europa League game and then the Newcastle game as well on the weekend. So much coming at you. So make sure you guys keep tuned. Last topic of today is Casemiro settling in well.
Yes, so this comes from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic, wrote a piece about Casemiro saying, Manchester United midfielder Casemiro is taking English lessons through a teacher and his family have moved over from Spain into a rented house near David De Gea to help him settle. Casemiro takes a keen interest in getting his stats sent over after the games from a provider. The Manchester United midfielder constantly asks about recoveries, pass accuracy, short passes, long passes and areas covered. What kind of report do you think he would have got after the Everton game, Flex?
It would have been, well, he asked about what? What did he ask about?
Recoveries,
Uh,
pass accuracy, short passes, long passes, and areas covered.
okay, so he would have got areas covered. Let's go through it. You read out the thing, and we'll go through what he probably would have got back.
Well, recoveries, I know for a fact he won the ball back more than any other Manchester United midfielder on
So that
Sunday.
would have been a big. That would have been a big green tick. Well
Yeah.
done. You're winning the ball back for the team. You're having an influence. You're starting to impose yourself. That's the
Yeah.
first one.
Pass accuracy, I don't have percentage, but I know he also gave the ball away more than any other Manchester United player on Sunday.
Yeah, so it's like a counter. You literally like you went all the way left, then all the way right, and then you stay in the
Yeah.
middle because you
In
kind of
one of
balance
those,
them out.
one of those like charts where you've got this. So it's not like a pie chart, but it's like one of those. What are they called?
Scattergram.
I don't know if
Where
they're
you've got a
called a
positive
scan.
correlation where you can see what it is.
No, it's like
Oh,
they might be called like a histogram or something like that.
oh, right, okay.
It looks a bit like a pie chart, but they've got the things in like that, and then it comes out like that. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
he would be like really far in terms of recoveries, pass accuracy, be really,
yeah.
really low.
And you know what? In the context of the game, it didn't end up mattering because he imposed himself somewhat and managed to get man of the match and was part of the second goal. And should have got a goal himself. That header still
Yeah.
annoying. He should have scored
But
that.
I do find that I do look at that again. You can look at the negative, say should have scored, but I do look at the positive that there, and I can't recall the last time I saw a Manchester United midfielder make a run from deep. Actually, I think he might even pass the ball to Rashford. Give
Yeah,
the ball to Rashford, make a run from deep, arrive at the box just at the right time. Should have scored the header, but for a really long time, I can't recall a midfielder that's done that at United. Now, I'm not saying Casemiro is going to do that every game, but that is an option because as a defender, you cannot defend against that. Because what do you
yeah.
do? Do you track the run? Do you pass him
No, it's
off?
midfield have to come with
Yeah,
players who do that. Yeah,
and that to me was positive because I didn't even think Casemiro not that was capable, but you don't think of him like that. Of oh, is he going to get a goal from running from deep, arriving in the box at the late time? So I think that is encouraging, and but got an
yeah.
assist. Like what you said, give the ball away. I did think he was sloppy on the ball, and it's not the first time we've seen him be sloppy on the ball. It must be said. I really think he has to quickly adjust to the Premier League to say that you're just not going to get that time on the ball like maybe you did in La Liga. Not because the Liga's press isn't great, but Real Madrid, some teams might give you a bit more respect. If you are playing in those tight spaces, you're giving it to Cruz, you're giving it to Modric. You know for a fact they can deal with it. It doesn't matter. In the Premier League, in this Man United side, that pressure's always going to be on. So I think maybe he needs to adapt to that. Can he is a question. But it was weird because whilst he still didn't play amazingly, it was still the best game he's had in the United shirt, I think. I
Yeah,
did think there were positives.
which is actually that's a positive to him, and that's to say, look, we know you can still be better. Eric Ten Hag will be saying that he's always striving for better. Giving the ball away like that as consistently as he does is good. If he keeps doing that, that's a massive problem. If he kept doing that, and against better teams, Everton, let's face it. To be fair, Anana was really poor giving the ball away. To be fair, he got on Casemiro to win the ball back for their goal, but other than that, he was trash. Idris Gueye was giving the ball away. Iwobi, he wins it, he gets it, and then just tries to go past him instead of just shielding it and keeping possession, loses it in an awful position. Like Everton's midfield was absolutely awful. He's going to play against better midfields than that. He's going to play against better teams than that. So his passing will have to be more crisp. But like you said, on the plus side, he was starting to read the game better, starting to be in positions where he can intercept, starting to be in positions where he can make third man runs. Started to, there was one pass that was played into him, was man right up his arse, he's just flicked it round the corner. Started to get things ticking. So now actually what he needs is just more game time, more starts, keep going. Does he start against Ammonia again? Or do you take like to get a bit of rhythm, then take him off just to
I
keep
would
him ticking?
say no,
And because
purely
Newcastle's
because
next.
I would say no, purely because, and I understand your point about rhythm, but
Mm.
McTominay can't play against Newcastle, so he can't even be
Oh,
be
right. Oh, there you
replaced.
go
He's
then.
suspended,
Right.
so it would be like I would
Yeah.
think McTominay plays against Ammonia, and then
So what, you
Casemiro
go
plays the
McTominay
full
and Fred
90.
then?
It depends how many changes he makes. I can't. It's really difficult to predict Ten Hag. Well, it's actually quite easy to predict Ten Hag sides at the moment because he hasn't really changed that much,
No,
even for the
because again,
Europa League
he's
games.
not making any mistakes because
No.
we can't slip up. We can't slip up. We've got to win every game and then go to Sociedad and win if we want to win
Yeah,
this group.
exactly. And it's almost like he doesn't trust. Not that he doesn't trust the players, but maybe he
No, it
doesn't
is
trust the
that. It
players.
is that. He
He doesn't. He
doesn't.
doesn't. He doesn't trust the players to make a full rotate. Like I'm going to make 7
No.
changes. He's like,
But
I
do you
don't
know
think they're
what?
good
I
enough.
agree though. I agree. I still
Yeah,
think we're not quite there. We're still working on our A game. We saw our A game
agreed.
against Everton, which is conceded after the first 5 minutes, all from mistake, but then stuck to the plan and done it. We saw our A game against Ammonia, 80% possession we had, 80% battering them, make a mistake, 1-0, have to chase the game. We
Yeah, I
saw our
mean,
A team against Man City, smash 6-3. So like we're still not there yet. So you're right. This changes of wholesale that he can't do it.
because even against Sociedad, how many changes did he make? 5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah,
It was,
and we said it wasn't going to be as
and
much as we thought it would be.
and we looked really flat. We looked rubbish. You know,
Exactly.
we didn't do anything, and
Exactly.
I think he probably looked at it and went, "Made too many changes. Not doing that again."
I think against, and I know we're doing a bit of a prediction thing here, which we weren't supposed to, but let's just do it. It goes De Gea, Dallo. Does Varane get a game because he's just come back off injury and probably could do with it, or just keep him completely fresh for Newcastle?
You just want to wrap him in bubble wrap, don't you?
Yeah,
You
I'm
really
saying
do.
Lindelof, Martinez.
Martinez.
Martinez plays every game.
Yeah.
Lindelof, Martinez, and I think you go with oh, Malacia.
Malacia. I
And you
think
say,
he would trust
Shaw.
Malacia. I think he would
Yeah,
trust Malacia
you
at
give
home.
Malacia another go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you say Shaw. But then if Malacia plays well, does he get to say, because Luke Shaw hasn't been dropped for bad form, it's just rotation.
No.
Malacia
Yeah.
has a good game. That's not really fair to say, you're out the team.
Mm.
So anyway, well, I don't know. I think he goes Malacia against Ammonia anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Midfield,
McTominay.
McTominay, Fred, and then
I
one
think.
of Bruno or Ericsson will start in the 10.
Yeah, and then I think he'll do what he did against Sociedad,
Half
where he
and
brings
half.
on
Yeah.
half and half. Yeah.
Yeah. Up front, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Anthony's still on the right.
Yeah.
I just think he just wants him to just keep
Yeah.
going.
And
And
then
he
go
probably put
Sancho.
Sancho. I mean,
Yeah.
Sancho on the left.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Still a strong
There's your
side.
three. Exactly. There you go. Listen, smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. There's a super chat here from Gnome de Guerre. It says, in Casemiro's defense, he can pass the ball to the other side to hold temporarily, then take it back after he moves past and score. Yeah, that's a good defense for him. And remember, you can join the UV Members Club. Link is in the video description below. And we will be back this evening, 6 p.m. live, Flexing KG show settings. And yeah, see you then, guys. We're out of here. Peace.